Welcome back, guys. Today we are going to learn about logging in Protractor. Basically, we will see like what is logging and then how to create a logger in Protractor and what tool we use in Protractor to log. So this is what we are going to see in this video. Okay. Without any delay, let's get this started. So what is logging? So basically, logging is nothing but just giving in information. Basically, we are storing in information from the system. For example, uh, consider like you have a big servers or bigger application. Okay, you have a application which handles so many users and so many uh, pages, something like that. Okay, in some page, because of some field, something crashes. How would you know that because of this issue the server got crashed? Some people can say like I'll use console prints, basically the console.logs, but will you be able to do it for all the statements? Okay, consider like you are doing it for all the statements. Will you be able to send that console statements to some client or to your managers? No, right? Because when you use a console statements or something like that, the terminal accommodates a couple of lines, not entire lines. Okay, something like it can accommodate something like 1000 or 2000. But if your application is too big, something like 10,000 lines, is that possible for a console log to copy everything and then send it to a manager? No. But the logging in Protractor or in any application or in any language basically means you are doing a logging. Basically, whatever you want to print or you want to get the information, if something error happens or warning happens, you want to put them in a file. And when something bad happens, you want to analyze that particular file. So basically, this is the logging. Something like for example, consider like I'm logging into a Facebook. Normally for logging in a Facebook, I have to fill username and password. Then I have to press login or sign in some button. Okay, now after filling the password, I'm trying to click sign in button, but that particular time application crashes. So behind this one there will be some logging system, something like normal print statements only, but inside the file. So whatever you print in the console, it will be like entered into the file, so it will be stored. Most of the time the logging file will have a .log extension, and you can have .json extension as well with logging, and whatever extension you want to use, you can use it. Okay, now the guys who is going to analyze the log will get to know that user is able to enter the username and password. Okay, while clicking the login, something happened, because there could be people like, oh right, before the performing the step itself, they can uh, enter the logging statements, or after the step. So they will get to know like in which step that log got stopped. So that itself tells us that where the thing is failed. But most of the time you should do it before performing the operation, so that user will be able to know that after this step that thing got crashed. So in this step only we have the issue, we have to solve the issue in this step. Okay, so with logging we will be able to point out that which line of code, or which the code which raises an exception, or because of which code our application crashes, right? So consider like there is no logger or logging in your application, something happened. So how will you analyze? Again, you have to run the system, right? And then you have to wait for that much time. Consider like it happens after execution of 4 hours. Will you able to spend that 4 hours of time? And if you are handling with the multi-dollar projects, so it becomes very difficult and tedious, and also it is very time consuming and cost consuming. Okay, so people, most of the people will hate time consuming and cost consuming. But if it directly affects the clients or the user means, then your application will get a bad reputation. So this is because of this reasons they use a logging system, so that they will be able to get the idea like where the thing got failed and where we have to fix. In a seconds they will be able to find it. Okay, so this is one usage. And recently, you people might have heard like big data science. What is it? Okay, so every big data or data science or machine learning, all these buzz technologies works on the texts and most of the time with the logs. No, why? Because this most of the time the the log file consists of dumb things, but people will retrieve a good amount of information from this log files only. Okay, this is another advantage of using a log file. Okay, so why I was explaining this logging thing is like 2 days back I have created a framework called page object model, and I have created a video. One of my friends said like, I do not have any background on testing, but you should provide some intro about the topic, then you should proceed into the topic. Because of that one I was giving this intro, what's the log file and the usage of it. Okay, now let's go to the protractor. Okay, and so like in protractor we have a logging, but it is not internal logging. Basically the protractor provides internal logging, but you cannot control that logging. So basically protractor doesn't provide any logging system, but you should never depend on a tool, because protractor is just a tool, or you can say it as a framework. There's nothing more than a framework. Okay, which is developed in a TypeScript or in a JavaScript. So you should always focus on the language on which it got developed. For example, if you are using Selenium, will does Selenium provide any logging? Similar way, Protractor also doesn't provide any logging. But when you are using Selenium, you will be using Log4j or SLF4j or something like that, which are nothing but another frameworks developed in the Java. Similar way, in Protractor, basically the Protractor is developed in JavaScript and TypeScript. Okay, so you should always check for the frameworks in the TypeScript or JavaScript to accommodate the logging. Okay, so I was able to find one of the framework which is called Winston. If you are able to see my screen, I'm highlighting it here. Okay, Winston is a logging framework that we are going to use along with our protractor. Not only with protractor, you can use it with any TypeScript and JavaScript applications. You can use the protractor. Okay, so if you are watching that, if you are not from the protractor background, but if you are from a JavaScript background, then this tutorial is useful for you as well. Okay, but I'll be using a protractor couple of things, but you can ignore them and you can use this remaining framework of Winston. So let's get this started. I said it long back, but I was giving the story. Okay, so for having a Winston doesn't come by default, so you have to install it. So normally if you are using VS Code, for this tutorial purpose I'm using VS Code. So you can go to view integrated terminal. Okay, this opens a CMD. Basically this is nothing but a CMD. Okay, so I was running some progress, some application, so I'll stop it now. I'll clear it. Okay, either you can download the npm packages in here, or you can download the packages using CMD folder. Okay, so it's up to you whether you are using a terminal inside the your VD or VDI, or sorry, what do you call that, editor, and or you are using a CMD, because both will have the same effect. But I always prefer using a IDE. You know why? Because whenever you install, you will be knowing that on which path you want to install. But if you do not install in the right path, then you cannot use it in your projects. Okay, sometimes you can use it, you can install it in a globally. In those cases, it doesn't matter from which folder you are uh, installing it. But when you are installing locally, you must be careful like in which folder you are installing. For example, let me go to this folder, d slash that protractor demo. I'll showcase that what are the folders are present in that place. To do some error. Okay, ignore it. See, this is the folder I have. See, you have a node modules here. So wherever the node modules, you know, whichever the folder contains the node modules, in that folder you have to install the npm commands. So basically here you have to open command prompt and then install. You should not go inside the node modules and install. Okay, so basically from this part you have to open CMD. If you guys do not know how to open CMD here from here, just go to address bar and enter CMD, then enter. It opens command prompt. Okay, something like this. See here I have to install npm. I'm sorry. Yeah, npm install Winston. Okay, that is the command. Let me showcase you. So I'm using this ID, but some of the people might not be using the same ID. So let me install it in command prompt. So you should be in this protractor demo folder, or whatever the folder, project folder you are using, you should be in that. Okay, now npm install Winston. The spelling is Winston, Winston. Okay, some people will give like hyphen save, or some people will give dev. So these two commands are used for uh, pushing this particular installation into your package.json. So if you're not much aware of package.json, then you can ignore it because it's not a big deal. Basically it's something like a maven or something like that, build tool. Okay, so let me press enter. So if you are behind the proxies, then you should use the proxy. It will be something like set http proxy underscore equal http underscore proxy equal to, then your proxy address, your company proxy address or something. Yeah, basically your company proxy address. You have to give it for http as well, https as well. So both will have a same proxy. So then only you will be able to install it. So once you are able to install, you might see this kind of yellow thing. Okay, so based on that one you will get an idea. Some people might get npm warn there is no such file called as package.json. It's a warning, so you can ignore it. It's not a big deal. So only thing is like you should be able to get this yellow and the dirty fellow thing. Okay, so now, so once it's installed, let's go to our IDE. Okay, so I am inside on framework. Basically I'm using a page object model, so you can ignore it or what folders I'm using. So let me create one folder file basically. So if you are not aware that I'm going to use TypeScript, not JavaScript, because we've been doing with TypeScript, because TypeScript provides more functionalities than JavaScript, because TypeScript is superset of JavaScript, which means like TypeScript will have the functionalities of JavaScript as well and more. Okay, basically the more is nothing but your oops syntaxes and structures. Okay, so right click on the folder and then click on the new file. Okay, so the new file name, whatever we can give, but for moment's sake I'll give wins. Okay, why I'm using wins is like basically the package we are trying to use is Winston, so that's why I'm using wins. So do not forget to use that .ts extension, because the VS Code will not create a extension by default. You have to provide it. Okay. So we are able to create extension. Now we have to create a class for what do you call that? Class for logging, right? Because we are doing a tutorial on logging. Sometimes tend to forget. Export. You know why we use export? Any idea? Okay, so basically the export is nothing but public. Normally you use public in Java, in other languages to use a particular class in other classes, right? So that is what export is. If you don't use the export and if you create a class, you can't use this class in any other file, basically in other classes. Okay, so I'll showcase that one as well after creating this class. So let's type something like the class name. Shall we provide as a logger or logger CherCherTech? I'm sorry, I just normally have this CherCherTech website now, so because of that one, I'm trying to do something like this. It's kind of a self promotion, you know. Export public class. Yeah, we have to provide the class keyword as well, and you can remove the public because we don't have to use the public. Okay, so we have created a class called export class logger CherCherTech. Okay, now let's go to your what do you call that, describe blocks, or with protractor when you are writing a describe block you call it as a specs. Okay, don't take the wrong meaning. Specs, specs. Now, so we have a bit of code. Let me explain that one. So I'm trying to import the browser from the protractor. It will be automatically imported, and then the describe block is nothing but a user story, and user story can contain number of test cases which are nothing but the it blocks. Okay, similarly a spec file can contain more than one describe block, and one describe block can contain more than one it block. Okay, now let's try whether we are able to bring this logger CherCherTech into our describe block, because we want to make sure that we are able to import it, otherwise there is no use of it, right? So whenever you create, in most of the cases, whenever you create a object for a particular class, and if you're not going to change, you do it in before the describe block, or you can do it inside the describe block, or you can do it in it block. Once you create object inside the it block, it will be removed from your memories of the system once the it block is over. Similarly, once this describe block is over, whatever declared here, something this one or this one, not this one, basically these are once we set it will be there. If you create any object, something like let var equal to new something like this, let's create it. Why, let's say like log, shall we say log? Yeah, it's fine, we can say log. mm, what do you call that? What was the class? It is logger CherCherTech. Okay, let's write new logger CherCherTech. See, I'm able to import it here, but sometimes guys you might not get the auto imports. In that cases you have to import it manually. Okay, so I have imported the class. Let's add the parentheses at the end so that we'll be able to access the methods. So if you create an object something like this one, once the describe block is over, it will be destroyed. That will be no longer available. Okay, so I always suggest use start it here so that you can use it in multiple describe blocks if you have. But if you don't have multiple describe blocks, then better you create it in inside the describe block. Okay, that is also not a big problem, right? So now let's go to the logger CherCherTech and create some variable. Basically we want to create a variable. Basically this logger CherCherTech will have a couple of things. Let me explain those things. What was the better idea? Let me open the word, so you will be able to see it on a larger font. I don't like word. Let's open, not but it'll open quick. Okay. Mm, I don't want to waste your times, guys. So first thing, we have to create a class for a logger. Have we created? Yes, it is done. Okay. Second, create a log variable. So we are going to use this variable to log our things. Okay, so inside this variable we have to create something called, let me call it as I, which is basically nothing but the level of logging. I'll explain what are those. Okay, don't you don't worry. Second one is, the first one is level of logging, and the second one is mm, something like format of the logging. Logging, yeah. The third one is, any guess what is the mode? Sorry, we call it as mode of logging. That would be better idea. rather than what is the mode. Mode of logging. And the fourth one is not fourth one, you can say it like the one something inside this mode of logging. Like if you are using console logging, basically the mode of logging is a couple of things. So let me explain that later, but before that, let's do that. Do this steps. Create a class. We have created it. Now let's create the variable. uh, let's basically create a static variable. Static. Can we create something like a logger or something? Yeah, logger would be fine, or you can say it like logger details. That is also better idea, so that you will not get confused. So for creating this variable, you have to create a method. Basically you will assign a method to this variable, okay, from a Winston. So that's what the big thing here. If you do not do it, then you cannot perform the logging operation. Okay, so for that you have to call a method called create logger, okay, from Winston. If you can see it here, it shows like auto import from Winston. Yeah, now you open the parenthesis. Okay, inside the create logger you have to provide couple of options, which are nothing but this level of logging and format of the logging and mode of the logging. Okay, so it accepts what do you call that, let me show you here what it accepts so that you will get a better idea. It's not showing anything. Let me do it here. The moment I'm creating it, showing the options. Basically these options are nothing but a map. Basically you have to assign like for the key with a pair, basically key with a value. Okay, something like log format JSON or a simple format, something like that. You have to provide an map. So for that map you have to create this, what do you call this, some of my friend calls it as a flower bracket, but it's called as yeah, it is called as a curly braces. Okay, if you are using it as a flower bracket, then it's not a flower bracket, it's a curly braces. So please do note that. Okay, so inside this one what we have to create, see, uh, something like you guys, even I am new, very new with all this stuff and all, because even I have been working with Protractor for years, but still most of the time even I'll get confused like what to create and how to create. Sometimes we don't get the idea like what it accepts or something like that, the number of parameters or type of parameters. In that case normally I would suggest don't create on yourself something like, yeah, I know you guys have creative mind, but don't use all the creativeness here. Just use the control space, it will give you all the options. I was telling like because I forgot what are the options to give. So control space will give all the options what to configure. Okay, so guys, are you able to see some of the fields had the question mark? You know what is question mark in a protractor? Basically not in protractor, basically in TypeScript. So the question mark behind after the any property means it is a optional parameter. Okay, something like whether you pass this parameter or you don't, it will not complain about that. Okay, so what we first we want to do, level. Let's create a level of logging is something like info. So it's showing some error, but why? Any idea? Cannot find info, but can I give something like info? in string. Yeah, I can give it. Okay, don't worry, give it as a string, it will accept. The next parameter would be um, silent. No, we don't want silent. Format. Yeah, good. So for format we have to give some option, which would be something like even I don't know what to give. Let's go to this. Okay, because I want you guys to know like how I do it when I forget. Okay, so you guys also should be able to do that thing. Let me showcase that how I do it when I forget things. Okay, so click on this format. Okay, so the format says long sorry log form format. So basically this format should be in the format of log form format. So basically it is something like a enum or something like that, it should be in this format. Okay, let's click on this one and see what are the formats are available here. Okay, we have options and then transform function. Okay, now basically you have to write a format. Okay, so the format is nothing but you have to write format only for that also, or emit format. So you have to import the format from the log form. Okay, don't forget to import the thing from log form, because the first one is from utils, which is some other package and we do not use it here. So call it from the log form. Now from this one, call for a check for the any formatting things. So I'll go with a simple. Okay, simple format. So you have to provide the parentheses at the end of the format. You know why, right? So while we are checking the simple, it says that it's a function. Okay, not a property. When it is says like function or method, you have to add the parenthesis, because VS Code IDE does not add the parenthesis end of the methods or functions. So when it says property, you do not have to add it. Okay, so we have set up two, okay, which are nothing but level of logging we have set and format of the logging. The simple format is nothing but it just prints with the spaces, nothing else. Okay, now the third one, it would be like transports is very important. So let's see what this transport accepts. Basically it also is from the logging options. Okay, okay, this accepts array of transports. Okay, so we have to create a new transports. Okay, which would accept array. Basically if you can see it here, it accepts an array of transports. So it's up to you like what format of transport you use. For a moment's sake, I'll be using the console format. So for that I have to create an array. Okay, so new transports dot console. Here if you can see, it says like property. Okay, not a method or a function. So this does not require you any, what do you call that, parenthesis. Okay, so I hope we have created the logger. Okay, let's go to our spec file. This is our spec file. Okay, if you have forgot, spec file will have a describe block and eat block. I'm just joking. Okay, so let's print some values, something like so before that we have to import it, right? So here we have imported it. Okay, so if I'm creating a, what do you call it? Here I have created a static one, so I don't have to create this class, right? So I need to call that particular variable or property, whatever you call it. Okay, call with what do you call that, the static thing, the logger details. If you can see it here, right, you are able to see it and it says property. Okay, I have assigned this total value into a thing called log, or you can say like log object, it would be better, because I'll be using one more method called log. You should not get confused with that log on this thing. Okay, now let's try to call log object. So there will be couple of methods present inside this particular uh, variable. Okay, inside this, basically here inside these things there will be couple of things present. Okay, so with the dot you can access them. Okay, for example, log, this one will log your all the uh, given messages to the console, because you have transported everything into console, right? For example, we are trying to log info to, what do you call this guy, we'll call it as this guy lost his mind. Sorry, I don't have a lot of mind, but I lost my mind. Okay, so we are logging it using a log. Okay, so there are other ways to log as well other than using this log method. So those are nothing but you will get the level of logging here itself. I'll explain level of logging in a moment. So here in the above step we have created a info logging, right? So call the same info logging. Okay, see, we got a method called info here, which will also perform the same kind of thing only. Okay, but here it accepts directly the message. Let me call it like, you guys are awesome. Is this the spelling? Yeah, I'm missing E. Yeah, so you guys are awesome, and I lost my mind. So it should be printed in our console. Okay, let's do this one first, then we will use the protractor along with it. Okay, so before running, just go to debug tab. But before that, what you have to do always, if you are opening VS Code just freshly, then you have to go to integrated terminal, and you guys know it, right? You have to compile the code from the TypeScript to JavaScript. Okay, because end of the day TypeScript is nothing but a JavaScript. You have to compile it, then run it. So how will you do it? It is tsc hyphen double. Here the W is nothing but for watching the compilation. That means like it will compile all the existing files, and also it will keep on monitoring like for any changes in the future. If there is any change, it will convert it into JavaScript. Okay, so that's what it is. tsc hyphen w. tsc hyphen w. You have to give the space between the tsc and then tsc space hyphen w if you are listening only audio. Okay, now go to debug tab and press this green stupid thing, which is basically a run. You can run it using a F5 button. Okay, when this bottom tab turns to, what do you call that color, orange or something, yes, that, then it's started running. When it is in blue, it stopped running. It should go to Google and then it should print it the statements. Okay, so the print statements will not come in the terminal, but it will come in a debug console. Okay, let's expand it. See, we got two messages. This guy lost his mind, and info, you guys are awesome. Okay, so we are able to print something. Now let's discuss further things, whatever we have ignored. Okay, so the level of logging. So we have certain levels of logging. Let me add them here. Okay, I'll explain one by one. Okay, I'll remove this particular log. Okay, so before that, let's go from level low to high, even because I do not know much of levels. Okay, so when you do not know, what you have to do, you have to click this particular method wherever you are calling, so that it will not only contain this one, it will contain the remaining as well. Okay, here we have a level log method, and this particular thing is not showing any other options, but let's close it. And oh, where is it? Okay, now let's go to this object. Basically it goes here and it goes to this particular part. Now go to the level here. It should give us the levels. Okay, So I'm not getting anywhere. Let me search it because I'm not sure. It takes a lot of time, right? See, these are the error messages you will get. Okay. Apart from these, you will have other as well. Okay, so you can get it from this index.ts file. I have clicked in this particular level to get those. Okay, but let's discuss only few because the video is going very lengthy and it might take an hour. Okay, so let's not go for that. So I have created one more web page actually for helping this particular understanding the level of loggings. You can get it from my website, so which is CherCherTech /protractor /logging -winston -protractor. Okay, so the level of logging will be like here. You can find the level of logging. Okay, but let's not read that out. Let's do it from here itself. That one was showing for you guys, like we have an article on that. Okay, so first basic one is debug. This is debug. Okay, so debug is nothing but whenever something happens, like for normal simple purposes we will write some messages. For that purpose we will be using the debug, and the info is most of the time for a user. Okay, like we want to give some information to the, not to the user, actually the developer or to the tester. So this is the, I am writing from the lowest to highest. Okay, so next would be warn, I guess. Okay, this is warn. Okay, so we have debug info warn, and after that basically warning is nothing but it will give you a warning message like we have mishandled something but it's not causing any big errors and all. Okay, after warning you will have a error. Okay, error is nothing but you are expecting something but it didn't happen, something else happened. Because of that, a particular a small thing of a small piece of code got failed, or a small module is failed, which is not affecting much of the application, but it's still an error, something like it caused something wrong. Okay, this is error. Okay, after error we have a few more, but let's see what they are. But don't go for too long, it will be like irritating, right? So let's go for alert. Basically alert is nothing but it will be like it's a big issue but it's not stopping the application. Okay, but still if you cross this alert and if the application is going to run, then that may cause the bigger, very bigger issues. So that's what alert is. So don't confuse these alerts and JavaScript alerts. Okay, this alert is nothing but level in the logging. This is alert. See, we are missing words nowadays. So the next one would be, normally few people call it as a fatal in other languages. So here it's called emergency. That means it's a showstopper. After this, the application got crashed and nothing happened. Something like you just press the login button and the application, the browser got closed, or application crashed saying that blah 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 blah, and then you can't do it anymore. Says something like that. Okay, so this is emergency. Let's call it as emerge only. Okay, so now let's try to run it, see what happens. So I know you guys know that it will print into console, right? Right, so let's not run it, but let's create another format. But before that, let's try a run, because that will take a little more time for discussing about that. uh, transports, something like if you want to transport this particular logging into some other place, something like a file or something like that. We will be discussing in the next. Okay, it opened the browser. It got failed. I'm so sad. Why? Alert is not a function, so we can ignore the alert. So it says like it's not a function. I'm sorry. I thought that is also one of the logging. Sad, isn't it? So let's run it after removing the alert. Now if it shows like emergency is not a function, then I'm really going to get pissed off. Okay, it opening the browser. Are you going to close also? Yeah, see, emergency is also not a function. Okay, but so let's check like do we have any other thing for emergency instead of emergency? Yeah, emergency was a property. See, so sad. I know you guys think like this guy sucks, he doesn't know anything. Yeah, it's okay, not a big deal. Where was warning? Right. See, we're not getting anything. This is also property data is about emergency property. Okay, I guess these are the things, and a few more things are present. You guys will find it in the article also. Okay, so I guess you got the idea, right? How to do it. Let me remove the last line and try whether this one works or not. I'll explain what is the emerge is. Okay, don't worry. You should never worry. You know, if it opens Google, then the test is success. Yeah, it opened Google. Now everything will be there in the console. This time it says zero failures. I'm getting my breath now. Okay, info warn error. Okay, these are the couple of yeah, levels, and there could be more levels. If you guys see this, debug is not printed because debug is less valuable than this info. And if you remember in this logger CherCherTech, we have given the level of logging is info, so it will print only the level and the above. Okay, something like if you give errors, it will print only the errors, so that it will be easier for debugging purpose, right? Right. So I was thinking to explain that emerge, even I do not know, but I'll try to explain. But if it is the same, then we are lucky, otherwise we are not lucky. If you are not lucky, then we are not lucky. You are talking with the unlucky, very unlucky guy. Okay, so it says level of logging. What could be the level of logging? mm, I don't know. Let's say like emerge here. Sorry, what were you are? Log object. Okay, log info. Come on, what is it? The message is something like this is info. It was working, right? So let's change it to emerge. emerg. This is emerg, emergency. Okay, let's see whether it works or not. I'm trying to run it. Even I do not know, guys. Most of the time I also experiment because I have not decided like to make this tutorial today, but unfortunately I had time, so I am making this tutorial. I'm testing your patience, isn't it? I talk a lot. Okay, now it opened Google. So this one is success, but let's see whether it's printing as a emergency or not. The instance logger level is emergency, but it didn't take that emergency level, so we can ignore it. Emergency level is not present in Winston anymore, I guess. Okay, so previously we were talking about this remaining loggings, right? Yeah, let's go to that part. So we have these 4 loggings, and we may have a few more loggings, but you guys should explore it. Okay, now, so with these loggings we are ignoring this debug because we have set the level of logging to info. Now let's change the level of logging to 1 so that it will ignore this debug and info. Okay, so I guess you, if you are thinking like he is not running tsa-w, means the thing is like only once you have to run it. Unless you stop it, you do not have to run it again and again. Okay, it will continue to watch that what this guy is doing, and let me convert the things to JavaScript to be for this guy. It will think like that, and it will do it. So it said some error, started with 0 error. Let's run it again, because sometimes what happens is like Selenium, while opening Selenium in Protractor, it says couple of errors. Okay, so now it's opening the browser, and if it opens Google, then it's a success because everything works fine. Yeah, it's trying to open now. I guess Google guys will get fed up of this automation stupid trials, right? Yeah, see, in now this thing only printed 1 and error. Okay, because we have set the level to 1. So how do you guys will print to a debug something to this level, from this level? How would you try to print it, like from this level to all the levels? If you know the answer, comment it. Okay, I'm not going to tell you in this video, it's a secret. Okay, now, so we have created with uh, level of warning and format of simple. Now let's try to change the format. Basically I have told you, right, level of logging is over. Now the format of logging. So normally we will be using a couple of logging formats, because I have used only simple and JSON formats. Okay, if there is more formats, then you guys should explore it, but unfortunately I'm going to try with JSON. Okay, now I have we just saw this particular errors, right? So we would be printing in JSON. Why would we will be using JSON? It's because like when we are going for what do you call that, crash platform. Yeah, when you are going for a crash platform or crash browser or something like that, JSON will be so smooth that it will work with all the platforms. That's why we use JSON. Similar way we will be using XML also, but XML is a bit heavy. That's why people are going with JSON. And if you want to display like what are the errors present in a browser or in any application, Angular applications or any web applications, you can show it by parsing this JSON files. Okay, so that's why I'm preferring a JSON format. Okay, yeah, I know you guys will catch it very quickly. Now let's run this same test again, and we should see these 2 error messages in the log file, not in the log file bar, in the JSON format into the console. Okay, so it's debugger listening in 5555890, some random port. Okay, don't give much importance about these things, because we are only focusing on Winston as of now. It's opening Google. My internet is kind of slow, I guess. Kind of slow or very slow, I don't know. Yeah, it opened Google. We are lucky. Yeah, see, if you see this one, we have message and level. Okay, you can't ask like why this one is present left side and that one is present on the right side. Please don't ask, because I'm not the developer of Winston. Okay, so but what you need to know is it we got in the form of JSON file. Okay, So yeah, so far we have discussed like what is logger and the levels of logging and what software we use for logging. Okay, and then formats of logging, JSON or simple. Okay, the next one would be a transports. What is this transport? Basically the transport tells the, what do you call this guy, Winston guy. The transport tells the Winston guy that where you should print the statements or where you should send the messages, the log messages. Okay, so far we are sending it into a console. Now let's try to send it into a file. It's a property, and we need to specify like which file we are going to send. So as I said, we need to give the file path, but where do we give it? So let's remove a couple of letters. It says like it's a file. Okay, but it accepts couple of options. The options are nothing but your what do you call that? Mm, Basically the file options is nothing but mm, what is it? The file options is nothing but you have to provide the file name. Okay, and what file name you want to store it? FILENAME, I guess. Let's see. Okay, so as I said, it accepts options. The options are nothing but the file name. Okay, so to provide the options, we have to create a map, right? Yes. So we will be giving the file name, which would be equal to something like, so you have to specify like the, what do you call that, folder structure or path. Or if you don't specify the folder structure, then it will create where that wins, what do you call that, tsconfig.json is present, basically here, which is nothing but your protractor demo folder. Okay, let me showcase it. Something like log file. Okay, log file dot log, let's say this way. Okay, here there is a two double columns, I will remove it. So we are providing the file name as well. Okay, so basically now we are transporting all the log messages into a file called log file dot log. So now let's go to that particular folder. For opening that one, you can right click on any file and then choose like reveal in explorer. Okay, so it will open in the explorer. See, we do not have any file called, what do you call, log file dot log. Okay, now we got it here. See, so sad. Previously we have executed, I guess, maybe something like that. So I have deleted the log already existing file because maybe some of my previous executions might have created that one. So now let's go to this, what do you call that, our VS code, and as we have deleted, let me rename it to some other file name, something like I like an actor called Anton Chigurh. Anton H, I guess, if I'm not wrong. There is one guy from No Country for Old Men movie. Okay, he's a villain. Okay, let me run this one. So we should create a file there if everything is success. But if something is wrong, it will not create. and again I have to execute and with some correction. Oh my god, it will take more time. I don't want to do that. So please pass so that I can end this tutorial very fast. Not very fast, but some fast. Okay, so now it passed because zero failures means yeah, all the things are passed. Okay, one spec here it says, right? So if we have doubt like why it says one spec means we have only one it block. If you have two it blocks, it will say like two specs. Okay, now go to the folder where the protractor demo. See, we have a guy called Anton Chikor. It says like message this is one level one, and the second one is this is error and the level error, because we had set the level in the formatter, basically in the log details. That level is log. Some guys might want like, if I enter everything into file, how come I'll know that what's going on with the execution or whatever something? Because some guys wants to time pass with the logs like me. Yeah, so those guys will think like, can I log it into a console as well when I'm logging into a file? Yes, you can do it, dear. Let's do it. Transports dot console. Okay, now we have created two transports. One transport is to a file. Basically, transport is nothing but where we have to push the messages, and the second transport is console. So we can do it in two places. Okay, now run it again. Let's see whether it prints in the console or not. See, last time execution, it didn't print anything in the console execution, right? Now we are going to print it with the console as well, and send it to a, what do you call that, this thing, a file as well. So now we should change this thing. Let's change it to some other name. Let's what's your favorite movie star or something like? I'll call it Thor. Okay, let's run it. You guys know that Thor is right. The Thor, the Asgard, the princess, or something. So this error we got because of the Selenium. So don't worry, run it again. So we should be able to see Google as well, and also the, what do you call that, a file as well, and the messages as well. See, here we got the messages to the console, right? So let's go to that folder which is called Protractor demo. We should be having a Thor, but not the ham, but the Thor. Okay, see, here also we got the error message Thor. Okay, now the mode of logging we have seen, format of logging we have seen. Let me create one file, basically like one thing with a protractor. So we are navigating to protractor. Now we'll try to log it with browser dot uh, get title. Let's use get title dot, then you have to fetch the value from the promise so that you will be able to print it into the console. Okay, function, it's called title. Okay, here you open it. Now you send it to the log object. Log object dot info. The title is this. Sorry, after this one you have to put this, and then you have to write title. So basically it will fetch the title from the protractor. I'm really sorry about the background noise because it is, power is off and the generator is on. Because of that one you are getting the sound. Okay, so do not concentrate on that one. Let's do this thing. Okay, so we have added it. Let's run it. Now it should print the value. uh, Yep. It's trying to open the browser. If you are hearing my voice in only one side of your earphone, then I'm really sorry guys, because I'm keeping the phone nearby my mouth. Okay, so it ran. So why did it print the thing? The title is, you know why? Because we have set it into info. I'm such an idiot, right? Yeah, I know you guys must be knowing this guy is an idiot by this time. So let me add it to the debug. So it will print all the things from the debug. Now it should print the info also, the info also. Mm. La 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 la. See, here we are getting the info. The title is Google. Okay, here it fetches the Google and it prints. Now let's go to that one. I am not sure like whether it appended or it added to the Thor. See, we got appended into the already existing Thor. So it's always better to delete the file. Okay. Okay, let's end this video because I guess the background noise is too much, and I hope you guys enjoyed this Winston thing. Okay, so with all this thing, if you like our video, do subscribe to our channel, and if you don't like this video, then do whatever you want. Okay, but do practice this program so that it will be helpful in some way or in some part. Okay, so I'll post all the code in this what do you call that, my site, which is this thing. I have created article, no, I was telling logging in Protractor with TypeScript. So in this URL you can find it, and the URL will be in the description block, or you are seeing this URL currently at the bottom of the video. Okay, thank you guys, bye.